Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Long time no see. Let's see who's here. Der Klenk, hello. Dr. Fred, hello. And Voyager, moin. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to today's stream. I'm very happy that I find some time. Currently in between two blocks of simulator missions. So I've got 4 days. Well, free isn't the right word. I'm just home for 4 days. But already revising and preparing the next missions in the simulator. Hey Tyson, how you doing? Nice to see you too. Welcome. So I hope all is well with you guys. And from what I have seen regarding flight sims, not that much has happened. There hasn't been any bigger, releases. Nothing spectacular. Unless you want to say, Rex Seasons has been polished, which is nice. But apart from that, I haven't seen any bigger aircraft add-ons. SU-13, so the update 13 in Microsoft Flight Sim still not published. So, well, not too much excitement going on there. Yeah, exactly, Voyager. Hey, Pilsenrich, wie geht's? Right, so give you a bit of update regarding my training. So after, how long was it? About almost 3 weeks of theory training regarding all the systems and so on. I had my theory tests, which I passed, obviously, and then a couple of days later we had the first 3 simulator missions. So that's the first block of simulator missions, and we're doing that on a procedure trainer, it's called. But interestingly enough, it's actually almost a full simulator, level D simulator. So with all the visuals, fantastic visuals actually, very nice, very modern, and a full cockpit. And but it doesn't have a motion system, so it's just completely on the ground. And so, when you get into the flight deck, and I've never been in a 787 flight deck before. So, walking up to the flight deck and getting into the flight deck, it was amazing. Hey, Flight Sim Dad, it was amazing. The cockpit is big. It is big. It was fascinating to see. I mean, because the 320 isn't a small cockpit, but to get into the 787, it's another ball game. So literally, what you can do if the seat is in the forward position, you can actually get and take your seats going this way. That's how large and wide this cockpit is. So, but obviously, the cool guys they board the seat the normal way, right? So, and then another thing that was absolutely mind-boggling is those huge displays. So what you can see here in the sim doesn't really reflect the size of these displays. Absolutely, really, Johnny, 7 people. These displays are huge. Absolutely fascinating. So, I mean, obviously, and then the amount of information you can put on these displays, we'll see that in a minute, is incredible as well. Now that I've gotten through all of the theory, with the systems, and now I don't say I know everything yet. There's just so much stuff to learn. But I have to say, this is the best Airbus plane that Boeing has ever built. So we say that the A300, A310 was the best Boeing plane that Airbus ever built. I would say the 787 is the best Airbus aircraft that Boeing has ever built. They've gone a completely different way, not only with all of the structure of the aircraft itself, with all the composite materials. I think it's about pretty much 50% of the aircraft is composite. and then a lot of titanium and aluminium, obviously, as well. And some parts, you need aluminium on these leading edges, for example, because you need proper metal to absorb any kind of impact from birds, etc. Composite materials would be too brittle to take that kind of force, and then maybe be deformed. So you need some metal parts still, but I think the whole of the fuselage, this whole section, it's from one or two pieces of composite material. Hey, Drehflüger, yeah. So very, very fascinating aircraft. And system-wise, we'll learn a little bit today about the electronic system. And I've actually prepared something for that. Let me just have a look here. If I can get that into the stream here. It should work. AirPlay. Where's AirPlay? Where's AirPlay? Search. There we go. So I need to. Oh, hold on. Hang on. I need to get that. So that's not installed by default. Interesting. Hang on. Isn't AirPlay? No. What's the Windows Air Mirror? Was it Air Mirror or something? I just need to find that. Hang on. Windows 10, Windows 11. Sorry, I just need to find where that is. Is it Air Server? Isn't there something on AirPlay? No, that's the app, isn't it? All right. So yeah, I just need to get that installed because I want to mirror my iPad window. Hold on. Right, anyways, I was saying, so it's fascinating to see the aircraft, being developed in such a different kind of way that I was definitely surprised by how, the systems work. Hey, TW, how are you doing? So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the electrics today. And we're going to talk about what's called a common core system. So the brain of the aircraft, and it literally has a brain. So it's got computers, servers, if you like, kind of a common data network, which takes information from all the sensors around the aircraft. So AirPlay. Right, let's have a look. Let's see if I can connect that. Yeah, fantastic. That does work. Cool. Right, just give me one more second. And then I'll be with you. So. Remove. Add. There we go. Here we go. Now we got it. So we'll talk about the so-called common core system, which is kind of the brain of the aircraft. So it's made of two what's called common computing resources, left and right. They're in the E&E compartment, forward E&E compartment, just below the cockpit. And then you have in these common computing resources, each 8 units called general processing modules, little PCs if you like. So 8 on the left side and 8 on the right side. Now they control everything. They control displays, signs, the entertainment system. It doesn't matter what. All the systems, everything's kind of centralized with its controls in that network, in that CCR. And then distributed around the aircraft, you have 21 remote data concentrators, so little units that will connect all of these sensor infos and relay them through that common data network back to the common computing resource. But the big thing today, what we'll talk about, is the electronic system, the electric system of the aircraft, and that's something I've never seen before. I've seen the 737 setup. I've seen the Airbus or the 747 setup. I've seen the Airbus setup, but never before have I seen this kind of interesting electronic network, an electronic kind of supply and distribution system. Really, really, really fascinating stuff. Usually, I'm absolutely bored by these things when it comes to electrics in the aircraft. I've never been a big fan of those systems, but it's been mostly too theoretical for me. But here, I have to admit, I am fascinated by it. Hey, Terrain Ahead, how are you doing? The training is going well. The training has been, up to now, very exhausting. Literally non-stop every day. I've gone through some documents, some training, some operational information. Hey, Brennell, thank you so much for the 74 months.
Hey, Captain Black Box and fans. Nice to have you back here with a lot of interesting information about the 787.
Indeed, yes. Thank you so much, Brennell. Big round of applause for that. Brennell, I hope you're doing well. Oh, hang on. Where's my applause? Hold on. There it is. So just like saying, when you come to the electric system of the 787, you have to go and put aside everything you've learned from other aircraft, really. In the end, it's still electric power, but the way it's put together in the 787 is absolutely fascinating. So let's see, try again. Applause. There we are. Thank you so much, Brennell, for the applause, for the 74 months of support. A long time, man. Okay, so it has an echo. Okay. Then let me see. Yeah, it's one of those things. So either I switch that off, or I don't hear the announcements myself for some reason. Oh, hang on. No, hang on. What I can do, disregard. No, that's fine. Brennell, yeah, it should be fine now. Yeah, let's see. Let's see if... Hey, Mona, nice to see you. Okay, let me try again. Hold on.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box
Is that better
Channel
now?
subscriber
I think the echo should be gone
experience.
now.
Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where
Hej Mo, när vi
complimentary
geht's
drinks,
dir?
snacks and
Okay, Brennel,
premium
thanks for the
flight
feedback.
entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Yeah, like I was saying, guys, the
Hey
electric
Captain
system.
Black Box and fans. Nice to have you back here with a lot of interesting informations about the 787.
So let's get started then. So when you come into the flight deck and you have no external power connected and the battery is off, then literally the aircraft is powered down. Hey, hello, shalom, how you doing? You're doing good, Mona. That's good to hear. Fantastic. So the aircraft being completely powered down means that you're not even allowed to have external power, plugged in on the outside. The moment that you have external power plugged in, the aircraft already goes into a certain power mode. For example, here it would be the external mode with, let me just try to get the wording correct. It will go into the ground handling mode. So the ground handling mode is active when the first forward external power receptacle is connected but not selected on, and there is no other power source. So then already in the real aircraft, now the quality wings doesn't completely simulate that, but in the real aircraft, just by plugging in the external power will already power up systems like, for example, the lower display unit, the multifunction keypad, then you'll have the cargo compartment, lighting, cargo door actuation system, etc., etc. So that would already be usable. So let's say the ground staff want you to open the cargo doors to do some servicing there. They would just need to plug in the external power, and you don't have to switch on anything else in the cockpit, which is great. Something else you have here, for example, is the towing power. So by selecting that on, you're not going to get any displays running, but this will allow you to tow the aircraft, and that's why it says towing mode. So the towing power mode will allow you to do communications through the captain's audio control panel. So that will be powered. You'll get the flight deck dome lights, floodlights, navigation lights, and the brakes will work with that. And also you have indication by doing that. Pressing test, you will get high, medium, or low, depending on how much battery power for the towing you have remaining. So the battery is on first, exactly. So when you do electric power up, the normal way to go about this would be to switch on the battery. And that's what we're going to do. Now, we've talked about the common core system and the CCR, so the common core resources, which are in the forward E&E compartment, or E&E bay as it's called here. So by switching on the battery, you think, oh, nothing's happening. Well, you already see something light up on the MCP. Now you just have to be patient. So even though you think, hang on, something's broken, the add-on is broken because, those should be on anyways, it's broken because I've switched on the battery, but nothing's happening. Well, it'll take about 2 to 3 minutes to get the CCR left running. So the left common computing resource, so that those computers are starting up slowly, and they run through internal checks, just like when you start up your PC, right? I just hope it's not Windows software here on the aircraft, because that would be frightening. But yeah, that's pretty much what's happened. So just be patient. And the quality wings actually simulates this quite nicely. So I'm not touching anything else right now, just being patient. And there we go, look. So you see the CDU light up, so the lower display unit. Now you'll notice when the left display starts to come alive as well, the captain's left display, then you know that the CCR left has powered up. The batteries, I don't have any infos exactly on how long the batteries will work, but the batteries are huge, Frankie. How you doing?
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Duo
Oh, sorry,
Channel
not the
experience.
right display. There it
Could
is.
new subscribers please make
So
their
the
way to the
CCR
first class
left
cabin,
powered
where
up.
complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Thank you to PP Live DE. Thank you so much for the Prime. Big round of applause for that. Hang on, where's my applause button? There it is. PP Live, thank you so much for the support. Welcome. Yeah, so what you have now is, yeah, my pleasure. If you know, I'm happy that you're interested. So this is actually called the, well, guess. Well, you can take a guess. What do you think this is called? It's called the battery mode, obviously. So on ground battery only mode, it's called. So we've got the captain's inboard display unit powered up, as you can see. We've got the lower display unit powered up. We have the mode control panel, the MCP, now powered up. We have the VHF left panel. We have the sort of TCP panel, and we have the ACP panel. We have the FMCs working. We have the engine APU fire detection now working. We have some lighting working, and we have the brakes working as well. So we can actually switch on the brakes now with that. So we are already in the part of our electrical power up right now. So what we're going to do now is, before anything else is done, we'll do the power up of the aircraft. So this is actually done because it's done so rarely on the real aircraft for us pilots, because normally when we pilots get on board of a 787 these days, it'll be powered up by maintenance already. So it's very, very unlikely that you'll find this in a cold and dark state. But if you do, you're supposed to take out a checklist to do the power up. Johnny, unlike other Boeing aircraft, you can actually power up the aircraft without ever turning on the battery. Yes, so Johnny, that's what I mean with how this system is completely different to all of the other aircraft that I've been on before. So we'll check. What we do now, in essence, is we check the aircraft state with regards to the hydraulics, with regards to the flaps, slats, and the wipers. So we know that from other aircraft, so that it's safe to switch on the rest of the power. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the external power switched on. So that's only available. I haven't actually physically switched that on yet. So we'll just leave that at that. So currently battery is on. Those should be on as well. So normally the APU generator switches are on all the time, but the APU is off right now, so they don't get powered, obviously. If you wanted to, you could already have a look at the system page, and you'll see here on the ELEC page that you have left and right external power connected. However, they're not supplying power to the main buses just yet. So we have the battery on, we have the hydraulics all off. That's very important. We have the wipers off. We have the landing gear down. The flaps are up. Alternate flap selector is off as well. And then we'll switch on the forward external power. Now we can see on that display with those flow arrows that the external power is now powering all of the main buses. And also now we see the left display come to life. And well, this is daylight, Brennell. It's just a cockpit. It's just a bit dark at the moment. I've tried to it's one of those P3D things, unfortunately, Brennell. I can try to get the lighting up a bit. Now, also in the background, what you just heard is you heard the stick shaker come. So normally what happens is when the powers or the systems power up, you will hear a beep and then the stick shaker come to life. And that's an indication that the dome light, yeah, that could work. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's bright. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a bit brighter. So with the stick shaker, we now have the confirmation that the left and the right CCRs, so the common core resources, are now working. So just to bring you back the info here. So that's what we're talking about, the Common Core resource, the common computing. So that's not the Common Core, it's common computing resources. Again, left side, right side, and each of the sides has 8 so-called general processing modules. And the cool thing is that if one of those modules fails, has an error or something, another system will take over the functions. So when one of those little modules fails, it's highly unlikely that you'll ever feel or see anything fail. Yeah, Brennan, we'll talk about that in a minute. And Giftzweck, hi. To Pinicum, hey, I want to uninstall P3, but I want to give it last. Well, you know, I still use P3D regularly, so you know. Right, so that's it. So we've powered up the aircraft, and we can now go on to the normal preparations, meaning that the first officer has his duties to do, and the captain does his items. And there's obviously a clear flow pattern to it. And so what happens now, first of all, is that the first officer goes and switches on the IRS. He then does the cockpit security stuff. He checks the emergency equipment, checks the door functions, etc., etc. And then what we do then, or the first officer does, he'll check the status messages, and he'll check the ECA messages, make sure that there's nothing unusual being shown on these messages. So that's all related to the fact that we haven't fully powered up the aircraft yet. And status is clear as well. We'll then check in a minute once the, well, actually we could check it now. So we've got the quantity of the hydraulics shown here. And this is one of the things which was really weird for me, because I checked my books, and literally every type rating that I've done up to now, there has always been limitations with regards to oil, oxygen, hydraulic quantities, etc., etc. Here, you don't have any limitations published. So it says you're supposed to check the quantity of the hydraulic, the quantity of the crew oxygen, and the quantity of the liquid cooling system. Yeah, so, but you don't have any limitations. So you just check that you don't have refill written here, so RF. So if you have RF written somewhere here, you would call in maintenance and have them refill the systems. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about it. It's a very unusual kind of setup for me, really. Some questions coming in. So a Giftzweck asks if I use the quality wing to practice at all. Yes, I do. So Giftzweck, I've actually used this a lot to practice my flows, which is, again, very helpful because, trust me, the first time that you sit in an aircraft, in a new cockpit, you are taken away by how different suddenly things feel and look. So that can already bind a lot of your, you know, kind of mental resources. And so a good thing to do is to, you know, practice your flows in a simulator like the quality wings, for example, because that will help you then with your, you know, your flows in the real aircraft. Also, things like programming the CDU. So the CDU is very nicely modeled. The system pages are correct. System behavior is not 100% correct. So when I checked, for example, how the hydraulic pumps function, it's not 100% exact. But I don't worry about that too much because, you know, for that I have my documents and then I'll practice in the real sim. So I'm not really too bothered. But, you know, for procedure stuff, for flying, use of the CDU, you know, legs page, route page, whatever, that's perfectly fine. How's it now to fly the plane with a yoke instead of a flight stick? Well, it's kind of strange. Now, I have to say that the procedure trainer that we use right now, apparently the control forces aren't exact. So And I hope that to be the case, because I was quite surprised how stiff the flight controls were. And the thing is that the 787 is a fly-by-wire aircraft. So there is obviously a field system installed, meaning because it's hydraulically powered, most of the flight controls are hydraulically powered still, you need a sense and feel system that will simulate forces. Now, one thing that's weird is the forces on the yoke do not change with regards to airspeed, right? Because normally in conventional aircraft, the faster you go, the more power you have to use to move the flight controls, right? Higher airflow means higher forces on those flight controls. However, what happens on these 787 flight controls is that the more you deflect the yoke and the rudder pedals, the stiffer it gets. So there's more force as you get these inputs to the extremes, the more force you're going to have to use. And that's something which is a bit unusual. So I've done how many flights now? 3 flights A to B, including landings. And the aircraft has a lot of augmentation as well. So it does stabilize the aircraft automatically for you, i.e. it trims the aircraft for you automatically. It will stabilize the aircraft. It has a vertical and lateral gust correction. It has a yaw compensation, even for engine failure. It'll automatically compensate the yaw because of that thrust asymmetry. Not all of it, but most of it. It'll correct on takeoff and landing regarding crosswind. Not completely, but a lot of correction is already done for you. So that's something you have to get used to. But yeah, it's a different way of flying. I've not really had any bigger issues, and it didn't really feel that strange, Brennelt, to me, because I'm flying, in the simulator here. So I'm flying the, I'm flying here with a Boeing yoke on the sim. So my brain is already used to actually grabbing a yoke and moving a yoke instead of a sight stick. So that wasn't actually really that bad. Yes, Brennelt. So ECAM messages or ICAS, it's not called ECAM, it's ICAS here on the Boeing. So you have warnings, you have cautions, and you have advisories, and you have some note messages as well, and communication messages. But the warnings are always red and have the highest priority. Then you have the cautions, which will give you a bing as well, and you have advisories, which is also have a amber coloring, but they're indented a little bit compared to the other. What I've done is I've installed the G777 as well, because there you can actually practice with the electronic checklists. The Quality Wings unfortunately doesn't have that. Okay, Johnny, so interesting, yeah. I mean, I would have to ask a mechanic, what the limitations are regarding liquid cooling levels, etc., etc. So, MTR Nord, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Cool. Yeah, so as we said, we are now preparing the aircraft. So we've done the IRS alignment, we've checked the technical logbooks, we checked the state of the aircraft regards to hydraulic or some fluid quantities, etc. Now the captain and the first officer would go through their flows. Now the thing is, the first officer literally does everything. So for me as the captain, I'll start on the left side here. So normally I'll check the oxygen mask here. Then I'll continue further regarding actually we'll come up here first. So we're going to go and check our EFIS control panel. So we'll check that everything's set, hectopascals here, for example. We'll check the weather already. And I can see that we've got QNH 1019er. So we'll set that 1019. Then what I'll do here already is actually I am going to go ahead. Oh yeah, and one thing that takes a while to get used to is what's called display management, because you have your multifunction display here. It's actually in two parts, and you'll see that here with the MFD left side and right side. So I can actually have the nav display shown on both sides. But what I can do, for example, I can go put myself the system here and here as well. So I actually have a look at the doors page, and I can have a look at the electric page, for example. I can actually go ahead and on one side have the comp page, look at ATC messages, company messages, right? Whatever. So the combinations in that regard are endless. There's so much you can do here. You can have the CDU displayed here, all kinds of stuff. So it's fascinating, really, really fascinating stuff. So let's see if I've broken this now. CDU, nav display. There we go. Another thing that that is a bit weird is the fact that here we have a touch screen, if you like. Now in the real aircraft you don't. So the real aircraft you have a cursor. So the captain has a cursor. He can move the cursor on display, this display, on this display, and if you have two parts here, for example, like here, or we can't put the cursor in here, but you can put it in there, and you can put it also. No, so this and this side. So, and the way you do that is you have several knobs and switches where you can go through. So here, for example, I can actually go and use this dial there to move that cursor to the position I want to have selected.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Duo Channel experience.
And then switch
For
on.
new subscribers, please make their way to
VR
the
indications.
first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Hey there, how are you doing? Love the new plane?
Yes, I do like it. It's for me it's a kind of a technology leap, even compared to the A320. It really is, technology-wise, a huge step forward. Finney, thank you so much for the 8 months. Big round of applause for that. Hope you're doing well, Finney. No, so Aviator, Aviator, I hope you're doing well. I'm actually right at the beginning of my training. I've only had 3 simulator missions up to now. So I'll have another 14 or 15 more missions to my final check flight in the simulator. And then there's going to be lots of training with the real aircraft called line training after that. So I'll be finishing in January by the looks of things. So yeah, I'm right at the beginning of my training still. Yeah, Voyager, exactly. Yeah, so Brennelt, actually there are a few things that will, you can say SOP usage of the displays, but regarding how you set up your displays yourself, that's up to you. Now, normally what happens is that the pilot flying will have the whole nav display on his inner display unit, while you always have the engine instruments, so ICAS, showing on either the left inboard or the right inboard display. So this you cannot switch off yourself. This is always shown, but this will be the setup if I'm the pilot flying as a captain, for example. Hey, Exponent. I'm curious, can you elaborate the tech leap compared to it? Well, I mean, the fact, I mean, I don't know much about the A350 and the A380, because I think the A380 also has this kind of setup with the networking system. So you have a data network through the aircraft. You have kind of a brain. Here it's called a common core system, with lots of computing modules or resources. They're called processing modules, with remote data concentrators, sensors everywhere, so one thing you'll notice here, for example, if you switch on, let's say we switch on the seatbelt signs here, right? They don't go on immediately. Hey, MCK, how you doing? And Bob. So in the 787, you turn that switch. The data concentrators will then pick up your input. They will put it forward to the CCRs. The CCRs will then check what you've done. They will then put the electric impulse to the right modules, and they will then switch on the seatbelt signs, right? And that's with everything really in the aircraft. So let's say you switch on the lights, same kind of thing, right? Everything goes through a network, a centralized computer system, and then sent off to the right modules. Ain't flying Paul, Monmoy. So anyway, regarding the oil quantities, rather than you having to make sure you read and validate each number correctly, Boeing has taken it out of the equation by just showing RF, so refill. Yeah, it's just Gilend, I don't even think it's I don't think it's dangerous or anything. It's just different, right? Because up to now, there's always been certain things that we had to know off by heart, and here in this aircraft, you don't need to know about oxygen, minimum oxygen values, minimum fuel, and minimum oil quantities or minimum hydraulic quantities, right? So actually, Paul, we do have a table. It's right here. You can't see it. So here's a latch. And here you actually have a table. So here it says table support. You have a little support flap there. You pull that out. And because you have so much room, let me just increase that sensitivity setting there. Camera, motion effects. So there we go. So again, this cockpit is big. You have a lot of room. So there's a table that comes out here. Now, it doesn't go on your lap because obviously you still have to be able to move the yoke all the time at all phases of flight. And the 777 has a table too. Well, there we go. But you have a little table that you can place your food and whatever on here. You got two cup holders, one front here, one here. So all good on that front. Yeah, okay, so let's continue now with the preparations. So alignment is ongoing, and the captain has just started his pre-flight items. So we talked about the EFIS panel a little bit. I'll switch on traffic terrain here already, and I have set my vertical situation display. I've switched on VOR left, VOR right indications. That's all I'm going to do here for now. Then I'll switch on my flight director. I'll switch on the auto thrust already, or auto throttle as it's called here. Then I'll check that we have indicated airspeed, heading, we have altitude, and I'll leave that on 1,000 feet here. Bank limiter is automatic as well. Autopilot disengaged paddle is up. So that's all fine. Then we go back here. We go to the oxygen mask. I'll check that. Then we check the lighting of the display units, contrast, etc. So we make sure that everything's set where the dot is, so the outer ring. That way we can actually change all of the lighting settings through a master brightness setting, which is a nice idea. Oh yeah, you guys. Oh yeah, another cool thing. Now, these are little things only, right? So, for example, when you get a ATIS message, or you get a RCAS message, or you get a CPDLC message, it'll pop up on this window here. And that's really cool. So here we're going to have our flight number displayed. We're going to have our frequency displayed. We can see if we're transmitting on that or not. Transponder code. We have a cell call, the tail number. It's a registration mark. And then we have this wonderful button here. And here's actually quite nice that it pops up the captain's TCP. So the tuning control panel there. And you can actually, rest your hand on there when you fly. And then transmit on just by flicking this switch here. So that's a microphone switch right there, and that's really convenient. I like that. Yeah, Bob, but hang on, it's only how many frequencies? 6 or 7 frequency combinations that have the 8.33 kilohertz. So if you actually get sent over to one of those, then you have to then type in .com1, whatever the frequency on the vPilot. I mean, yeah, but it's not for all frequencies. So most frequencies will still work through the normal panel, and then a couple you have to do that manually. Yeah. Right, so then we check here that we've got auto selected on the air data and the parameter flight display. Check our displays again. Then I'll come here, that's the FOO items here, so I'll check my multifunction keypad. Oh yeah, I was just saying that you have your selector, so like little cross here, so like a mouse pointer. And here's a touchpad. So just like on a mouse pad on a laptop, you can move the icon or that little mouse pointer or cursor, let's say that cursor, to any point on this display, and then you can actually move it up to this display as well. If you go to the corner quickly, it actually will put the cursor here. It's something you have to get used to. There are some quick buttons. So if I want to put the cursor, let's say the cursor's on this display, and I want to put it quickly onto this display, I'll just press lower. Oh, that's interesting. It pops up the... I didn't know that. That's interesting. So it'll pop that up. Then I can, again, switch the right side, left side, again, the MFDs through here as well. And I could put the cursor onto the EFB as well. Now, the thing is for us, weird thing is that we don't use the EFB from Boeing.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Twitch
so
subscriber experience.
The only thing we use is the video
make your way
function.
to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Hello, back. And
Hey.
now I earned my C1 rating in
Hey.
Danish Space D.
Congratulations on that. Flying Greenland, thank you so much for your 32 months. That's a long time as well. Big round of applause, and a big round of applause again to MIH. MIH coming in with 4 months as well. Thank you. And I think we're going to get the alert in a second here.
Welcome aboard the
There it
Captain
is.
Black Box Duo Channel experience. Could new subscribers please make their way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Long time no see. Only recently I've listened to podcast of Blue XP with you and it was super.
Oh yeah, thank you.
All the best and hope to hear you in my sector soon. Smile.
Nice. So which sector would that be? Which sector can I maybe hear your voice? So the video function is the only thing we use on the Boeing EFB. So we actually have our own EFB installed here. So, when you do our performance calculations, etc., that's all done on our well-known tablet that we have, so an EFB. And so we can't send the performance data into the FMC, for example. That doesn't work for us. But we have some very neat features and functions on there as well. So all our charts, everything, the maps, all on there. That's fine. Right. So that's that. Then we just check the park brake set. We check the ortho pitch trim switches are in normal, and then the stat trims also. Covers closed, the fuel control switch is cut off, flap lever, alternate flaps arm, all off, and I'll check my TCP there, and that's already done. That's my items done. How did the touchpad treat you up till now? Well, the thing is, in the simulator, the touchpad is actually not that good. So apparently in the real aircraft, it's a lot better, but in the sim, it's very sensitive. So the cursor does jump a bit. Now you have to realize that the cursor, when you dial the rotary knob here, for example, the cursor will jump to the next logical place. So let's say you're preparing the aircraft. So you're checking, you've got the right engine data, the value, the ability of the nav data. So air cycle is correct. The performance drag, fuel values are according to the flight plan. And then when you go and, let's say you want to insert the initial position and you dial that rotary knob, it'll jump to the right place. So a lot of times when you enter something, it'll jump to the next step. The same for the checklist. So let's say you are going through a checklist here, then here that box, for example, will be highlighted straight away. So you don't have to dial, it'll be highlighted already. And when you enter that, it'll go green, it'll get the same indication as here, and it jumps automatically to the next item. So it is convenient. It's not completely a nuisance. Oh, really, Bob? Okay, that's a shame. Yeah, that's a shame, because definitely that would be so if I go Lima Echo Mike Delta, put that in there. VATSIM send. Okay, so there we go. Unfortunately, it doesn't work, which is a shame. But there we go. Departure airport ATC. Well, DJ, hey, how you doing? Doing well. How are you doing? So MIH, you say Warsaw. Okay, nice. Yeah, I'll be training. My first flights I will have in November. So exactly, this is the 787. Yeah, currently parked at Madrid, and we're flying to Tenerife south in a minute. Cool. So now let's go to the first officer's items. And so for us, since we're two captains training together, both of us have to learn all the items. So that was really something I had to get my head around. So we'll check the there should be indications norm in here. Normally we don't touch those, but they should be selected, and it should be saying norm for the flight control surface switches there. So heading and reference norm, primary flight computers. So this is actually something where you can disconnect the primary flight computers if for whatever reason you need to do so according to checklist. But that should be cover closed. Then we have the IFE cabin utility normally switched on, the APU generators on. The aft external power we don't need if we have the APU. The generators are on, but they're currently, of course, indicating off because the engines aren't turning, and that's why the drive lights are showing as well. HUD brightness will be in, wipers off, and then we go up again. So it's always top to bottom, right? We start left, top, bottom, and then we just continue our flow that way. You a big fan of Boeing? Fantastic, DJ, yes. So we make sure the towing power switch is off. This is what I meant with you can test the battery, see how much towing power you have left. Flight deck door power should be on. And this is the only thing. So I just talked about the Common Core system. And the only switches you have to interact with that system is here. It's the CCR, so the Common Core reset, left and right reset switches. Now, the thing is, you only touch those according to procedure if all of your displays have failed. So let's say all the displays go blank, then you have a chance to reset those through those reset switches there. That's it. In the real aircraft, there's a spring mechanism here. It's like a metal loop around the switch. So if you close that cover, the switch will go into armed. So that's quite neat. So make sure the emergency lights are armed. Don't touch that, because that will release the passenger oxygen masks. So don't touch.
Subscribers, please make your way to the first class cabin.
CCR, great band.
Drinks, snacks and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
4 years.
Wow, yes.
Hope all is good with you and the 787 learnings are going well.
Thank you very much. So Captain Chaos, first of all, thank you so much for the 4 years. Crazy. Thank you for the 4 years. And yes, I am saying, I've literally gone through some sort of document, revising, rehearsing, learning every day since the 1st of September. So, and I've not burnt out yet, and I haven't become tired of it. I'm still fascinated by the aircraft. So, very much enjoying it. And now in the simulator, we now have all the procedures coming in, which is a highlight. It really is. So I'm loving it. Good. Window heats, they will be on. So we have the backup window heat system and the primary heating system. So in the primary mode, all of the windows, which are quite big actually, they are defogged, while the front are all also then de-iced. So that's the primary mode. If the primary mode fails, the backup mode will make sure that the front windows are still defogged. Not de-iced anymore, but defogged at least. Right, this is another button. You don't touch this. If you press this to on, the ram air turbine will drop out. You don't want that. Now, normally the left and right primary hydraulic pumps would be switched on. So you have the engine-driven primary pumps, and you have the demand pumps for the left and right system as well. So these are demand pump switches. These are the primary switches. Those should be on while the rest will be off. So these are mechanically driven and these are electrically driven. Montreal, well, Bob, I'll let you know if I'm anywhere near Montreal in November. All right. Good. So that works as well. Fantastic. So normally we would put this switch onto that little dot here as well. It doesn't work here, unfortunately, it's just on and off. But yeah, make sure that the switches here are set midpoint or off. Landing lights are off, passenger lights are already on. Then we go back up again here again. So ground test in normal, CVR, we don't touch that either. And also what we don't do, and it's something I was so kind of confused about as well. We don't do the fire tests. We don't. That's done by either by maintenance or the system itself tests itself. So we don't touch that. We don't do a overheat fire test. Just make sure that the switches are in. There's no off lights. The switches are out. Engine EEC mode select as normal. We check the start switches are normal. Fuel jettison system off. That button is in. That is out. Fuel pumps all off right now. Anti-ice and automatic. This is also a very interesting feature with the anti-ice. We'll talk about that in flight. Then we'll switch on the nav lights for the outside check. Come back up here. We have the flight record armed. The humidity system on. Cargo temperature. Put that to the mid part there on low. That's an auto if necessary. Just leave that as it is. Air conditioning, forward and after equipment cooling in automatic mode. We have upper and lower recirculation fans. They should be on. And we will see those here on the air system synoptic. So recirculation fans, the upper fan will take cabin air, filter it, put it back into the cabin, passenger cabin. The lower recirculation fans will collect air from the cabin and put it into the air distribution manifold. And that relieves the pack system and has them do less work, which is then, I wouldn't say fuel efficient because the pack system doesn't take engine bleed. And that's another thing that's so mind-boggling. Again, talk about technological leaps, right? So there is no bleed system. Well, there is one bleed system, and that is simply for the engine bleed. So the only thing that uses bleed air from the compressor is for the engine anti-icing. So you can anti-ice the front of the engine there. That's the only bleed system you have, right? Everything else is hydraulic or electric. So, for example, the wing anti-icing. So these outboard slats are being electrically heated. There is heating mats underneath the surface here. That those are electrically heated, which is cool because that way, if you want, and you have the switch in auto, your sensors, so the icing detectors, if they detect icing conditions, then at 75 knots on the takeoff run, your wing anti-ice will come on automatically. You don't have to do anything about it, right? The engine anti-ice will not work on ground in auto mode. It never works automatically on ground. Why? Well, because we just said the engine anti-ice uses bleed air. So if you were to take off and you didn't calculate engine anti-ice usage in the performance calculator, and the automatic mode then at 75 knots would switch on the engine anti-ice, you actually lose power on the engine because bleed air is extracted from the compressor. So that's why the auto mode will not work on the ground for engine anti-ice. And that's why if you have icing conditions, and then after engine start, you will have to put these on manually on the ground. Same for landing. After landing, if you have icing conditions on the ground, then you will have to switch that on manually. It doesn't work automatically on the ground. Cool, so that's that. Then we're going to put the left and right pack switches on, trim air switches on. And this is another thing, the pack system, like we said, the packs do not use bleed air from the engine. The pack system uses air, compressed air from cabin air compressors. There's 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. And I've already shown you guys the inlets for that. Let me just do this real quickly. Hold on, controls, advanced. Oh, there we go. There we go. So here we got the inlet, air inlet for the cabin air compressors, right? This is the inlet for the ram air, so for the cooling in the pack system. So the pre-cooler air comes in here, but the cabin air compressors, so the CACs, as we say, they get the air through here. Hey, Lilienthal, nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. And these are heated as well automatically, right? So whenever there's icing sensed, these will heat up as well electrically. Got some deflector doors for the ground ops, so they don't ingest any FODs. Yeah, but that's it. So the cabin air compressors, they are the ones that compress the air, just like a engine compressor, and they will then deliver that hot and pressurized air to the pack system. And the pack system works the normal way, like in any other aircraft, and cool the air, and then get it into the either the air distribution manifold or the cockpit. And then if you want some heat added, you have a trim air system that takes the hot air from the compressors and mixes that into the distribution manifold. Actually, disregard. It takes that directly to the zones and mixes the air with the cold air from the packs prior to getting it into those zones. And so that's how you can actually regulate the temperatures individually on these zones. Yeah, Aerocity is it is a bit different. So the 787 is definitely something different. pressurization panel, we just make sure that forward and aft outflow valves are in auto position. The manual landing outer button is in, and then the wipers again off. That is normal. And then for the first officer as well, same thing. So the first officer will start from the right hand side, check the oxygen, check the lighting panel, the air data, and the primary flight display. MFD switches are in norm. He'll check his EFIS panel as well, so he'll use whatever he wants on his side. Switch on his flight director, set the QNH as well on his side. And then he goes on to the center panel here, check the integrated flight IFSD standby instruments, all these abbreviations. Landing gear lever down. He'll set the auto brake already to RTO. Comes down here as well for the MFK flap lever. Then he goes over to the panels here, check whatever he wants on the third panel set. Then the engine fire panel, make sure lights are out, the buttons are in. Glide slope inhibit switches off. Standby on transponder mode. The auto cancel is covered and off. Cabin interphone system, whatever he wants to set there. Then on his side, he'll check. That's what the captain does as well. So he'll check the weather radar setup, automatic or manual for the tilt control, whatever he wants to set there. And he's got his individual settings on his side for his weather radar system. And the FO can do the same on his side. Transponder TCAS, we'll take above here, for example. Yeah. And then it comes back here. Check the printer, obviously, and make sure nothing, no fault messages, anything. The printer's back below here, below that handset. That's where the printer prints out paper. You want a Squawk 2000? Yeah, probably. Let's put that in there. Cool. OBS and audio normal. AVAC command is covered. Floodlight, I'll stand light. Leave that as it is here. And then very important, actually, I've made a mistake. So normally what will happen is before we actually check your EFIS for the modes, etc., we need to initially program the CDU here. So what we'll do is we're going to go root request, and we'll do a simulated uplink. And we are called Air Europa, so Europe 711. Put that in there. Alternate is that's fine. Let's leave that as it is. We'll go to departure arrival. We've got 3-2 right today. 3-6 right for departure. So we'll take the Victor Tango Bravo 1 Romeo departure. Execute. And now the cool thing is that with the range less than 5 miles, or 5 or less, then we get the airport chart shown on the nav display here, which is nice. Hey Finders, how you doing? And Captain Mitchell, hey. Well, type rating I've talked about at the beginning. I've only had 3 simulator missions up to now, so I'm still at the very beginning of my type rating. So still lots of stuff to learn. And Captain Mitchell, I hope you're doing well. So we've got our departure route to Papa Delta Tango, and then direct Victor Tango Bravo. We'll check the departure in a minute. Then Uniform November 10, Sierra Victor Lima, Uniform November 857 to Talto. And then we got the arrival into Terto.
It's really interesting to follow you along your journey to the 787. Wish you all the best for the rest of your training.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you so much, Lilienthal. And my God, 80 months. 80. Can you believe it? 80. Our longest subscriber here, Lilienthal, with 80 months. Thank you so much for that long-term support.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box
Amazing.
Duo Channel experience. Could new subscribers please make their way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Avenger, how are you doing? Nice to see you too.
Good evening, Captain. Long time no see. I'll join you, but I'll be a bit late. Just reinstalled XP12.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Do you mean you're going to be flying in VATSIM? Is that what you mean? If you want, yeah, I'll come online if you want to fly along. Thank you so much, Aaron. Also to you, big round of applause. 10 in a row. Thank you much. And I hope you're doing well. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'll come online then. That's fine. I'll just file the flight plan and I'll be good to go. Good. So what I'm planning to do today, I want to try a LNAV VNAV approach, but that's one thing with the quality wings. So the quality wings is a good add-on, but it does lack a little bit of detail regarding the approach capabilities. So it doesn't do IAN approaches. But I was trying to find out if it could do the VNAV approach. And I'm just wondering, then let me put in the VOR approach 07. And we'll do the arrival, the Terto arrival, 7 Golf. And then we'll have a look at the arrival routing here. So that's the arrival routing, Terto arrival, and then the approach. Let's have a look. Approach 07. Let's have a look at the VOR approach. So yeah, we'll take that in via Tango Fox Sierra. So we'll try that. Execute. So legs page. And while we're here, we can already check the departure routing. So the routing should take us 2,500 feet, then Mike Delta 47, 210 knots, 2,900 above, that's fine. Mike Delta 048, 220 knots, 7,000 above. Then we've got Mike Delta 049, 240, 8,000 above. And then Papa Delta Tango 240 knots, 13,000 feet. So I've checked all the values. They're all correctly programmed. This is something really, really cool with regards to the vertical situation display. Now, unfortunately, Quality Wings doesn't completely model everything, but there are some indications here already you can see. And this display is actually really, really, really good. It helps you with your situational awareness in the vertical path quite a lot. So that's something already in the simulator that I've become, kind of very fond of. I really like that system. So from there, we got all the routing in. And then for the arrival, let's have a look.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Twitch channel subscriber experience. Could new subscribers
Hey,
please
Megas!
make your way
That was
to the
nice to
first
see you.
class cabin, where
Ahoy!
complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Naband Captain, great to see you back in action. All the best for your path to real world 787 flying smile.
That's really kind, Megas. Thank you so much. Big round of applause. And that's a whopping 67 months. Ich hoffe, dir geht's gut. Yeah, thank you so much, Megas. Like we talked in private chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's going well. I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, we'll keep you posted. So if you are a subscriber, guys, and you are on my Discord, I have a subscriber channel with the 787 transition infos. So I do post, every 2 or 3 days. I put a little post up there to let you know how the training is going. And then at some point I'll post some pictures as well, obviously. I just want to go and file my flight plan so that I can go online. So pre-file, VATSIM. All right, so in the meantime, let's check the arrivals. So we got Terto, Lima Zulu Romeo, Lanzarote, that is. Then we've got Betan, Canis, and then Lima Papa Charlie, Conda, Tango Fox Sierra. Actually, before that is Miran. Yeah, Miran, Tango Fox Sierra, and then holding, and then the approach. So that's all correctly programmed here as well. Fantastic. So we're going to file this, flight plan filed. Let's go vPilot. So
welcome aboard the
that
Captain
should
Black Box
be
Twitch channel subscriber experience. Could new subscribers please make
correct.
your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Same as everyone saying about 787 real life. Hope the camera goes with you on your first real flight.
Thank you so much. Also to TV Rebenjo. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about that. So sometime in November, we're going to start off with short range, obviously. So in order to get my landings, in order to finish my rating, in due time, there will be some short range flying on the 787 coming up first. So that will be exciting. And then to see how the aircraft, flies in the real world. So we have Madrid approach here. How cool is that? So 1875. Nice. And big thank you again to everyone for your support. That's really, really kind. MIH asked, are you doing any kind of direct, is it zero flight training? Yes, it's we're going to have a what's called zero flight training mission at the end of the simulator missions. So after the check flight, we'll have another mission where we practice landings. And then the first landing in the real aircraft will be with passengers on board. So the route. Oh, actually, I made a mistake again. I'm talking too much. So normally in real life, what we don't do on the arrival, we don't insert a approach. So what we normally do, we just enter a runway. We don't. Enter an approach because there is apparently an issue with the LNAV function or VNAV function. There can be an error somewhere if you enter a departure procedure at the destination. It's a CDU thing, so we don't do that. Get Mitchell, yeah, that could be risky. Yeah, you're right. Bob, yeah. Oh dear. Right, cool. Let's start the APU here. Oh yeah, another thing I was talking about the air conditioning. So the electric system is so clever, and we'll talk about the electric system during the flight. We have a bit of time in flight. I'll tell you all about the electric system. But I've just talked about the cabin air compressors are electrically driven. Right, so the electrical system will determine if there is enough power available, so electric power available, to power the the cabin air compressors. So right now, since we have the two external power set, it says yes. But what could happen with the APU? Actually, no, the APU battery will. Well, no, right now the forward external powers the APU start. What could happen though is you could have some load shedding going on.
Premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Hello and greetings from Mallorca. Hope your type rating goes
nice.
along well. BB711 beloved.
Thank you very much to Christian. Greetings to Mallorca. How's the weather? I think it's hot, isn't it? Christian, thank you so much. 28 months. I hope you're doing well. I'm sure you are. So, you have an electric. I'm just going to take that off. So there is what's called an electrical load management. So you have a bus power control unit that provides automatic shedding, provides automatic connections to the electric power system. So that you don't have to do anything about it. That system will take care of that for you. And whenever there is not enough electric power to power all of your systems, then there will be load shedding going on automatically. And you just see that either here on this page, or for example, if there's a system load shed, it'll actually show up on the designated system display.
Good evening. I am really happy that you are back. Smile BB711 thumbs up BB711 Pro.
Lee, thank you so much. That's the 39 months, Lee, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's going well, but like I said, I've only had 3 simulator missions up to now. But the next 3 missions coming up next weekend, and then I'll be in England for almost 2 weeks, well, 11 days. So a huge amount of simulator missions are being done at the Boeing facility in the UK, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah, doing very well. Thanks for asking. Cool. So we've done the routing setup. We'll do and have a look at the NAVRAT setup. So we are going to set up for the departure. So what shall we take? We'll take Victor Tango Bravo, obviously, at the end. Not sure if that works here. No, it doesn't, so you have to do the frequency. So normally that would work, obviously. But here in the quality wings, you have to put into frequencies. Put that in there, and then we'll take Papa Delta Tango as well, which is 1695. Good. And then what we want to do as well, we want to go and set the OFP zero fuel weight. So the OFP zero fuel weight was 162.5. So 162.5. And the fuel values we'll put in here as well. TV Skylar, hello to you. Christian, 1 week around 27 degrees. Nice. Okay, well that's what you want on your holidays, right? Good to hear that you have a good time there. Fuel-wise, so I have alternate Fuerteventura, and we've taken a bit of extra fuel just in case we have to do one go around. So we need about, with taxi fuel, 600 kilograms. Yeah, we'll take about 20 tons of fuel. So let's take 10 on each side. Come on. There we go. Just going to set that. And then we want to have the zero fuel weight very close to the values that we just talked about. Let's put this to 162 tons or something. So we'll take a couple of passengers here in the business class. We'll take some here. So we're going to have a pretty full flight today. Fully booked. Going to have some cargo here. Going to have some cargo in the aft cargo. And there we go. And we'll set the payload there. Nice. Lee, ich hoffe, dir geht's gut. So, yeah, I hope you're doing well. Nice. Good. So we've done the initial preparations. The rest will follow as we go along. But I'm going to put a cruising level here, 390 for cruise, and the cost index, which we get already through the flight plan, that's 43. Put that in there as well. Nice. So you can see already here on the vertical situation display, if I zoom out, you can see here on these displays, you can see these restrictions. So these little triangles, those show you restrictions, right? So you have above, so at or above, you have at. At restrictions would be a triangle top and bottom. If you have a window, those triangles would show you the vertical indication where you have to go through that that window. So it knows the fix and it knows the altitude window. So it would show you that. So that's the FMC calculated path, and you're going to have that's the aircraft position there, and you're going to have a white line showing you the path of the aircraft, so the flight path angle of the aircraft when in flight, and then you can actually see whether or not you're going to meet those restrictions. So it's very nice. Really cool system. Reserves is missing. Reserve fuel, we need 2 tons plus 4.9, so 2.9, so 4.9 tons is the reserve there. Fantastic. Cool. So now we would have that completed, and now we would go through the display check, make sure we have toga, flight director, and now we have some speeds already there. That's all looking good. So I'm happy with that. And so now with both sides, so the first officer and the captain having done his preliminary cockpit procedures, we would already read the pre-flight checklist. So I would call pre-flight checklist. FO says pre-flight, oxygen, tested 100%. He would say tested 100%. Flight instruments, heading is 270, and we have altitude 2020. This is one thing I couldn't understand either. These two indications with altitude and speed, they are from the same module. So there's 3 air data modules for static, for pitot pressure, etc. And those go into a computer, and then the most reliable source will then be shown on both sides. And normally you would have a letter next to your QNH value there, either left or right, to tell you which side is being used right now. So the 80 knot call out here in the 787 is not to check the speed indications, because they are from the same source. They will show the same thing. So it's just a check for incapacitation. That's all it is, the 80 call out here. So that's weird. But nevertheless, we have to check the QNH settings. So we'll call on this side as well, heading 270, and altitude is 2020. Tick that off, and then we've got the pre-flight checklist complete. Next will be the before start checklist. So now what we'll do, we'll wait for the stuff to be completed. So let's pretend everything's completed, and we'll get our final load sheet. So figures are as follows, and I will say to the first officer, we have a zero fuel weight of 165.1. Oh, hang on, that's a lot more than we wanted. Hang on, disregard. Don't want that much more. So we'll take a little bit less. Yeah, that's it. So we want to have a zero fuel weight of 162.2. So he'll set 162.2. So the FO programs that in on his side. And then he will add the fuel on board minus taxi fuel. So he will say 20.2. So that's 182.4 minus 400 taxi, let's say. So he will say Yeah, gross weight 181.8 for takeoff. And then I'll check my my load sheet for the takeoff weight, check that off, and then we'll go with the CG. Again, the first officer enterstat, and I'm not sure what the value is. 26, that's a lot. That would actually be an aft CG procedure. We would have to do that, but we're not going to go into that today. So 26%, meaning trim will be 3.25 later on. So I would say 26.5. I'll check the trim setting 3.25 from the load sheet as well, and that adds up. Fantastic. So I'm going to close the door. We'll switch. Oh yeah, and by the way, so the APU is running, and the first we'll switch that off, obviously. Yeah, and brake is set, chocks removed. So the APU has already taken over the full supply of the main buses. So if I do that again real quickly, let me just connect external power. So now I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so external power now connected means part will really be supplying left 1 main, left 2 main, and the APU generators will take over the right 1 and right 2 main. Although I'm a bit, my memory says to me that normally with the APU connected, it will take over automatically all of the bus supplies, but I'll check that again. Anyways, let's get rid of the external power. So that's disconnected now. Fantastic. We'll check the doors. Doors are closed. Everything's in automatic. That looks good. We'll get rid of the jetway, and then we'll go and get the clearance. So we are in real time, which is good. Oh, he's gone offline. Okay, there's no more control here. What a timing. Lol. No VIP service today. Then we'll go on Unicom. Right, so we got that clearance as filed. So we do have the Victor Tango Bravo 1 Romeo departure. Initial climb, according to the procedure, will be 13,000, it says. So 13,000 feet. So I'll dial in 13,000. See, you just saw that line move up here. That's selector, your auto selector. Heading for the departure, initial runway heading is 360. That's fine. And the V2 speed that we just got. Oh yeah, of course. Normally we would have the performance calculated through our own EFBs, but here we got a calculator, so we'll use that for departure. Departure runway 36 right. Condition dry. Wind. Just check the weather here real quickly. So we've got wind 200 at 6. So let me just enter that. A bit of tailwind. Now tailwind is always calculated with 150% of that value. Temperature is temperature. Currently 28. And the QNH is 1019. Takeoff weight was 182.4. Well, actually, we have a bit of, we'll take 182 tons. CG 26. We'll have optimum setting for the takeoff. Oh yeah, and this is one thing. Here on the 787-9, you have many different settings for takeoff and landing. So not just flaps 5, 20, 15 or whatever, or 10. It actually gives you 17, 18 as well. And during approach, you can also select flaps 17 or flaps 18, which is actually quite nice because you can a little bit play around a little bit with your drag profile. And the thing is with the 787, it's a extremely clean aircraft. Aerodynamically, it's really, really, really improved. So normally we have a rule of thumb saying that 3 miles per 1,000 feet is your kind of gliding distance. But here on this 787, it's actually more like 4 miles per 1,000 feet as a rule of thumb. Avionics supplied by Collins. Oh, I don't know. I would have to check that. I don't know. It didn't say anything in my documents on who made the...
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Duo Channel experience. Could new subscribers please make their way to the first class cabin where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Hey. Emergency. Thank you so much. That's a cool name. Emergency. Thank you with a capital C. Thanks for the 9 months. Hope you're doing well. Thank you much, Emergency. So we've calculated with an optimum setting regarding thrust and flaps. So let me try that again. Optimum. There we go. So we get flaps 5 with those values. So we're going to send the output to the FMC. Bimmel, bimmel. So we've got... we're going to accept those values, a V2 of 148. So we have 142, 142, 148. Also, we have a D rate, so takeoff 1 minus 10%. And on top of that, we have a selected temperature. So we'll choose climb 1, depending on the restrictions, but that should be fine. So we'll take climb 1. Is it really? It's a mix of Honeywell and Collins. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I need to check that. Cool, so that's all done. I've set my MCP, we'll set LNAV, VNAV, and then I'll call up B4 start items. So the first officer, so I set the trim, so I'm the captain, I don't have to do much. I have to set the trim. So I'll look at the display here, and I'll just set 3.75. on the trim. Oh, no, it's 3.25 actually. There we go. So 3.25. And I've set the V2 already on MCP, so that's my items done. The first officer goes and switches on the hydraulic system. So you have to be careful. This one has to be on longest, meaning to avoid fluid transfer from the right demand pump to other systems. You switch that on auto first, then you do a cross. You do C1, C2, and then you do the left demand pump. Make sure fault lights go out. So now we have the hydraulic power. Then we put the fuel pumps on. Then we go and switch the beacon on. Then we go and put the... Actually, don't need that just now. We're going to go and do recall. And that looks good. Transponder would normally be done after pushback or after engine start, but I'm going to put that on right now. We are on VATSIM, so we'll switch that on. And yeah, secondary engine display will display that as well. And then we call up the before start checklist. So passenger signs, the first officer responds because that's his item on MCP. V2 heading track altitude. So we've got MCP, it says V2 148, heading 360, and altitude is 13,000. Where did you get the CG from? No, that's done by the load sheet, Brenold. So when we get our final load sheet value from our load control, that's where we get it. Takeoff speeds, V1 142, V2 142, VR 148, and flex. Flex is 54 degrees. And that'll give us a power setting normally. I think that would be 72.5. And the first officer checks that in his EFB performance calculator. So he'll say that as well. Or he'll just say checked. CD pre-flight is completed. And the taxi takeoff briefing. Right, so for the briefing, let's just do an abbreviated briefing here. So taxi out will be as follows. So we're parked here on the west side. We'll taxi. Standard will be, I think is it Mike? And let me just go ahead. Taxi routings. Yeah, it should be Mike. So it'll be Mike all the way up to Yankee 1 holding point 36 right. Hotspots, several hotspots in here. Yeah, just make sure, keep our eyes open. Departure route is the Victor Tango Bravo and Road. We talked about that, up to 13,000 feet. Sector altitude is 10,000, quite high here. Elevation is already 2,000 feet here. Restrictions should be no issue for us today with our performance. And extra fuel, according to the flight plan, is 2 tons, 28 minutes. Special threats, well, terrain to the north and northwest. Otherwise, no threats. Bit of tailwind as well, let's say. Cool, so taxi takeoff briefing is completed, and that's the before start checklist complete. So next will be before taxi checklist. So let's get the pushback truck. Caramba.
Madrid traffic to reply to your taco, taking off runway 36 right, number 2 on your departure.
Yeah, Bernal, all you have to do, you have to select a range that is larger than 5 miles, and that's it. And then the map display will disappear. Christian. Hey, good evening, Christian. How are you doing? Well, Madrid can be long taxi, yeah. Let's do a quick edit here. I want to put the aircraft here.
Exiting from editing mode. Please wait.
No, oh no, no. So, well, what you can do, Brenold, let's see. Yeah, you can switch off terrain mode here, and then you can switch on terrain here. The same with brakes released. So another thing you can do is, for example, you can switch on the weather radar, right? So you would have weather radar here as well. It doesn't show up here right now, but normally in the real aircraft you can have weather radar here as well. And then you would go into this menu here, and just for this one you would select terrain. So you could have weather radar showing here and terrain there, which is really cool. Oh, really, Christian? Jeez. Nice. Cool. So with APU power available, I'm going to leave that here. We can start the engines, both engines at the same time. So I would just call out engine start sequence right then left, overlapping start, engine start, start right engine. First officer puts that to start, and I put that fuel control switch to run. And then I'll say start left engine, same thing, start, run. And so now we have an overlapping start of both engines. And what's happening now is that if you go to the system page, electric, as you can see now, that at the moment the left and right starter generator are active. And they've already switched off, so the engine's already running on its own power, running up on its own power. So now, once the engines are running, these will then switch over and produce electric power. So there we go. So here they've come online now. So the starter generators, which has just started the engine, are now functioning as electric generators. And there we go. So this side is doing the left ones, and this side is doing the right main channels. So that's really, really interesting. I mean, again, something completely new for me. I've never seen that before.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
The engine start is actually it's maybe a little bit longer than here compared to hit the sim here, but otherwise, yeah, it is fast. Good. So now we do the before taxi items, and I only have to check the flight controls. So the first officer goes up here, switches off the APU. Engine anti-eye is not required today. He'll then set the flaps to 5. And switch off the engine, secondary engine display, does a recall check. Transponder's already on, so we do the flight controls. And another thing, really weird, I would have thought, just like in the A320, you would look at the system flight control page to check that all the flight controls are moving. Well, no, you don't have to do that. Here, you just simply move the flight controls in all directions, make sure you have full travel. And that's it. That's actually the flight control check. So now we just wait for the all clear signal. Hey, aviation artist. No, so right now I'm only getting, there's the all clear signal. I'm only getting the type rating for the 787, but the 777 rating will be very quick to do. So it's kind of a conversion course, a couple of sim missions, and that's it. No, so Lilienthal, good question. No, the weather radar will only show in the map display. Good, so we do the before taxi checklist. Before taxi, anti-eyes is off, recall checked, flight controls checked, ground equipment is clear, and that's the before taxi checklist complete. Gonna take some lights here, taxi lights. Madrid traffic, Europa 711 taxiing active 36 right in Madrid. So clear left side, clear right side, off we go. Brennell, so yeah, the huge batteries, so you have the batteries located in the forward and the APU battery in the aft E&E bay. And, but to my knowledge, there are no battery firefighting systems installed. So there's no fire extinguishers for the batteries. Are you referring to the issues they had initially with the batteries? So I'm just going to check. Is this mic here? Hang on. So we've got to go left. Oh, I should have gone left here. Right. eBay, yeah, we call it E and eBay. So that's the weird thing. I used to call it electric compartment, if you like, but now they are called E&E bay on the Boeing. Goat friend, I don't know that off by heart. I would have to check that in the documents. Maybe I'll find some values during the flight. One thing I've been disappointed with is that the documents available to us are very limited. So the training manual or the operations manual, they are not very comprehensive. So they are very kind of basic. Hey Alpha, good evening. Brenold, well, I think at the beginning they had some issues with that, but I think they solved these issues. So I'm going to have to go left and then right again. So here would be Mike. Hey Pot, how you doing? Just wing it, yeah. Alpha, hello to you. How you doing? Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, Lorith, that's the thing. If it's, yeah, it is, you're right. They are lithium-ion batteries, so if they do catch fire, well, you would have to flood. Yeah, you would have to, you know, extinguish that with water. Saturated saline solution, yeah. Hey, Mark! Nice to see you. How are you sweating? Is it very hot? And Bruno, hello to you as well. Lol. Melting, good God. Eidrich Solicha, I don't know how to pronounce that, but yeah, we'll be in Austria at some point, yeah. But I don't know when exactly, so no promises for now, I'm sorry. Presets, where's my head-up display? So how come that's not modeled? Oh yeah, and I did talk about head-up display, guys. So I did ask why we weren't using head-up displays. The problem is that the 777s that we get later, well, in a couple of years, they don't have head-up displays, and so for conformity reasons, we're not using the head-up displays on the 787 either. That's the official reasoning. So. Yeah, it's a long taxi here in Madrid. Interesting as well, if you look at the displays here, that's the RNP for our departure. So if you go and check the progress, let me have a look. Index. Oh, which page was it again? Position. Next page. Next page. I was pretty sure it's progress page, wasn't it? Progress page. Oh, there we go. Currently. VNAF, New York, next page. I'm pretty sure that actual ANP, RNP, wasn't that on the progress page? Yeah, well, anyways, so the RNP, it says here 2.0, it should be 1 actually. And so the actual 0.5, so that display shows you your current track, so the magenta line, and those are the boundaries. So RMP2, so that'd be 2 miles, And then you have the actual
Welcome aboard
navigation
the Captain
position
Black
shown
Box
here.
Channel subscriber experience. Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class
Hey,
cabin,
Yoda.
where complimentary drinks,
9.
snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Lekker Yoda in the house. How are we doing? Well?
9.
9. How are you doing? Thank you for the 47 months, Yoda. Nice to see you. So the cool thing is, if your actual navigation position gets worse, those brackets there will then get longer. And then if your routing, so the actual position of the aircraft laterally gets into the into that area of the A and P, then you'll get a warning saying that that you could be potentially outside of the routing, of the RMP routing. I'm just going to stop here. 36 right. Good. So we'll read the before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff, and that's it. We don't say anything that's green. You don't read. So it would say before takeoff checklist complete, and then I'll say checklist complete. So there's two checklists where I, as a captain, respond as well, and that's the before takeoff checklist and the landing checklist. That is where I respond as well regarding checklist complete. Otherwise, all good. So the next normal checklist will be the after takeoff checklist, which is kind of unusual for me. Well, that's something we tend to forget still, but we'll try to remember that. Yeah, Yoda, you know the pain of learning new systems. So that's what I'm going through right now as well. But it's quite fun regarding the flying part. That's quite interesting. Good. I'm going to put this now to a range of 5 miles, and then let's say we get the info cabin is ready, and then we do the items for the lineup. I'll put the strobes on, taxi light goes off, and then we go put this to TARA. Check that everything's good. Bit of traffic, Europa 711 departing 36 right in Madrid. So we've got terrain, traffic all indicating, looking good. And the takeoff process is pretty straightforward. There's nothing really that unusual. There's some specifics regarding takeoff here. These big engines. So when they spool up initially, the nose will go away from the wind because of the way the engines are located and the thrust they produce. And then it switches over between 60 to 80 knots and then it goes into the wind. 207, I'm going to check 270 something, Brenold. Good. We ready? We don't have to start the clock. That starts automatically. So that's all set. And let's go. Takeoff. So we're going to set about 20 tipper. And then we press the thrust ref switch. All the thrust has now taken over. Wait for the thrust set. There it is. Thrust set, we can say. Yeah, pretty much. 80 knots checked. Rotate. And this thing, one thing you have to get used to. There you go. Pause the rate. Gear up. Gonna put the flight director, flight path vector there. There we go. So 400 feet, we got LNAV, VNAV speed here. Beautiful. It's trimming again. It's trimming automatically for you. So the only thing you have to monitor is if you change the airspeed, that's the only time you have to trim yourself. Anything else regarding configuration changes, thrust changes, that's already trimmed for you automatically. Good. Autopilot is on. Let's have a look, enjoy some of the views. So flaps 5 accelerating, so we're going to put the flaps to 1, so flaps 1. No, it doesn't have MCAS, no, Brenold, no. That's on the 737-8. Or MAX, not 8, it's MAX. Good, so now we have to be careful. Do we have a speed restriction? We have, don't we? We have max 210 and 220 for the next turn. So the problem is that the clean speed is higher than 220. So we'll leave the flaps at 1 for now. Oh yeah, and here you can see right now, you can see on the vertical situation display how the magenta path, so the magenta vertical path, so the calculated path, is not quite being met by the actual aircraft performance. However, we can see the 7,000 restriction is here, so we're already above that restriction there. So this is actually showing you vertically in a correct manner whether or not you're going to bust or make those restrictions. So I know with that kind of flight path angle right now, we're going to meet both those restrictions. Absolutely no problem at all. And I know that around about 10 miles with this speed, so this flight path angle, around about 10 miles from now, I'll reach 13,000 feet. So there's a lot of info that we get. And this is actually taken from the climb rate and the ground speed. So that white line there. So that does change according to your actual climb rate. We have GE engines alpha, so we actually have N1 on our aircraft and not TPR right now. The next ones we get, they have Rolls-Royce, I think, so that'll change soon. But right now we only have GEs. Plane spot, no, we just departed, so I don't have that much time, so it's just one flight today. But don't worry, we have lots of infos, and we'll talk about the electric system. Good, so now I'm accelerating 240 knots, flaps up. Flaps up. So we just check, so we don't say it's speed checked. I mean, we check the speed, but we don't say speed checked here. And then we put the flaps up, and once it says up here, it not green, but indicating that the flaps are moving up, that's when you respond with flaps up. So it's a bit different here. And again, we can see that the FMS calculated a little bit more optimistic than ours. But let's continue climb here. So let's say we get clearance climb 300 initially. So now we can see the... oh, it's already going in VNF alt. So I have to press this button once to get the aircraft back into thrust ref VNAF speed. You have to be careful, though, with that button. If you press on that alt button right now, and you have another restriction. So let's say, for example, we have a restriction here. Or we have speed 240, and let's put this at 210 exactly. Okay. So we got a restriction now. And if I press on that button once, it clears the next altitude restriction. You see? So every time I press that, it will then clear the restriction of the next waypoint, or the next altitude restriction. So you've got to be careful with that. So the best thing to do is look at your vertical display, vertical situation display, to see which ones, which altitude restrictions are still valid and which you've cancelled. Yeah, exactly. So the HUD for us has been deactivated because the 777s that we get don't have a HUD, and that means that they don't want to have a mixed setup. Cool. We're above 10,000 feet here, so we'll do the 10,000 foot flows. It's a smooth ride, so seatbelts go auto, all the lights off. We'll get the RatNav cleared. And then secondary, well, we'll copy the route. Let's have a look. Oh, it doesn't have a route copy here. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Disregard then. Yeah, it doesn't have a second route. So we don't have to do that then. VNAV. Cool. Yeah, so Brenold, so let me demonstrate to you that then. So right now, let's say we have to level off at level 180, okay? So the MCP says 180, and so because that's not in the FMS as our flight plan, so it's not a restriction on the flight plan itself, it'll go into VNAV alt. Otherwise, it'll go into VNAV path. So now that we got that restriction, it'll level off at 18,000. So let's say now ATC says continue climb level 300. What we have to do is just press that button once. Okay, so if you press that button, alt button once, it'll then go back to thrust ref, i.e. climb power 1, and VNAV speed. Oh, one thing I need to do. So the thing is with the engines is that the EGT is hottest right now, exactly at 18,000 feet. And so what we're supposed to do, if we don't have any altitude restrictions or anything performance-wise that is limiting, we should be selecting climb 2. Because that means the EGT will be a bit lower, and that will improve engine life. Yeah, it's a company thing, unfortunately. So it's nothing that I can, I can do. There's Madrid behind us there, wonderful. So that's just the way it is, unfortunately. Exactly. So Captain Arnold, exactly that. So that's the official comment I got from my instructor, why we don't use the HUD. Good, but hang on. After takeoff checklist. Don't forget the after takeoff checklist. So after takeoff checklist complete. It's something, one of the SOP things that it's sometimes difficult to get used to is the wording. So when you do the training, they really, make sure that you use the correct wordings. So the pilot flying will request the checklist. So the pilot flying says after takeoff checklist. The pilot monitoring will call up the checklist, read the title after takeoff. Now, all the items have been completed. In this case, there's no open items. So all the pilot monitoring says now, again, after takeoff, checklist complete. And the same goes for the abnormal checklist. So when we have non-normal stuff, so here, again, we don't have non-normal, unfortunately. So I can't show you that here, but in the 777, we can go through that next time. We'll go and have a look at the 777. I'll show you the checklist there. Yeah, Christian, exactly. So the 787 always has a HUD. I don't think you can order the 787 without the HUD, apparently. So, but the 777, that had the option, either with HUD or without HUD. And the HUD obviously does cost some money, and our company, our controllers, they said, they calculated, said, no, we'll save that money, which is typical for my company, so... okay, so the FLC, so that button there, Brennell, that's a flight level change. So let's talk about the mode right now. So we are using a fully managed setup. So laterally and vertically, it's fully managed, like in the Airbus. So the lateral path is being followed, but also vertically, the econ speed. So depending on your cost index, the FMC calculates, with regard to the wind, temperature, etc., it will calculate an optimum climb speed. So right now it's 306 knots. That's interesting. So it's 312 here. That's weird. Oh, that's descent, disregard. So sorry, climb. There we go. So 312 knots. So that's correct. And then once we get to the conversion, we'll get Mach 0.83. So that'll jump then to Mach 0.83, about 2,000, 3,000 feet from now. And you can see that the numbers are magenta, right? So that's why it's now taking these values. And if I go level change, the speed window opens up because the VNAV disappears. So now we have on the prime flight display, we have flight level change. And now we have the option to manipulate the speed through the MCP. Right, so what's happening now? The auto throttle will take the climb to thrust setting, so that's why it says thrust ref. If it just says thrust, it's a variable thrust setting. Let's say go around, for example, where you have a reduced thrust setting. So that's like in the Airbus, it's oh, what was the mode on Airbus? On the you see, that's the thing. You forget so quickly. On the A320, it's level change, right? Open climb. Oh yeah, sorry, disregard. Open climb. Yeah, exactly. So open climb. That's the same mode, Brennell. So it's a selected mode, if you like, right? So now we can manipulate the the climb rate by dialing back the indicated speed right now. Okay, so now go speed alt. So let's continue climb 390. And okay, so now, Brendel, that's the thing. So now, because we used the flight level change, it's going into altitude mode. So if I press on that, nothing will happen now, right? Because we're not in VNAV. So if I want to climb again in level change, I have to press this button again. And I get it goes thrust ref, flight level change. So it's going to set that power setting. And then pitch up the aircraft to maintain 295 knots. So let's go back to VNAV. The speed window blanks again, and then we have VNAV speed. So now it's commanding this speed here from the FMC. 312 knots, econ climb. That's the difference. Oh, 32975. Madrid control, Born has started this. Sorry for the late call. Europa 711 passing 300, climbing 390.
Europa 711 Madrid, buenas tardes, no worries. Please squawk 4402.
Squawk 4402 Europa 711. Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know why I don't get a beeping sound here.
Europa 711 identified. Climb in play level 390.
Gracias. Climb level 390 Europa 711. So I don't know why I don't hear that alert. Audio. Ah, okay, hang on. Guys, let me know. Let me know if you... Well, actually, no, I would hear that, wouldn't I? But you wouldn't hear that. Ah, well, we'll see. Cool. Right, let's have a look. Let's go select airports here. And I'll switch off terrain for now. And we'll use weather radar. So the airports that have an A with a circle around it, these are the alternate airports that are listed under the alternate prompts. So Lima Echo Romeo Lima, India Zulu Mike Delta, Tango Oscar. So these airports, the closest airports regarding ETA time, shown by that circle with an A in it. So kind of visually shows you where those airports are located. We can see now that we're going to reach top of climb here. And one thing you can see, so the vertical path, the solid line, lines up with the dashed line. So the dashed line is the MCP altitude, and the solid line is the flight plan altitude, cruise altitude. So they match up, which means that we have selected now the final cruise altitude. All right, got a TCAS here. He's in the climb. On this 787, no, Reynolds. But on the 777, apparently they will be touchscreens, yes. Okay, Alpha, very good question. So, on the displays here, the blue dotted line, that is the area where your... just get that. Oops. Hold on. Channel. There we go. Camera controls. Right, there we go. So that blue dotted line, that is the area that is considered for your vertical situation display. So the terrain, so that display, that terrain info is only considered within those boundaries of those blue dotted lines. Yeah, the corridor. So if you go and zoom in, obviously, you will then see that a bit wider, but that's the corridor. And normally, now this is the thing, normally, that would have the width of your RMP corridor. So really, it should be somewhere here. So it'll be a bit wider than it is. Yeah, that's a very cool feature. Now, in real life, the real aircraft, especially for descent, what it does, it draws in a little green dot on that line here. So if you slow down, let's say you command a slower speed, it'll show you where it's estimating that you reach the selected speed. That's not working on the quality wings though. The same for, let's just go vertical speed here for the last 1,000 feet, vertical speed. Also on the vertical situation display, in the real aircraft, you see where it tells you you should be selecting flaps 5 or flaps 1, flaps 5, flaps 20. So it does have some very nice features in the real aircraft. Yeah, Bob, thank you. Exactly. So it should be the RMP corridor, really, which makes sense because that's where where you have to consider the obstacles.
Europa 711, leaving now my airspace. Please monitor Unicorn. Enjoy your flight. Goodbye.
Okay, monitor Unicorn 102.8. Muchas gracias. Adios, Europa 711. Right, there we go. Back to Unicorn. Is it a full moon already? Blimey. Oh yeah, one thing I've done, guys. I have taken out the mask, the affinity mask in the config file here. And ever since I've done that, performance is brilliant. I get 60 plus FPS, no problem whatsoever. FS Labs, here the quality wings, it's really smooth. I really like it. Fantastic. Yeah, I have to check, Bob, because I checked the file again, and there was nothing in there regarding affinity mask. But whatever I did, so taking that out has solved all the performance issues. So that's really nice now. Well, Brandon, there's an affinity mask calculator you can calculate, but I've never found anything for the i13-900K. Yeah, so completely taking that out has really solved the issues. Very nice. The wing flex is phenomenal. So the wings are designed in a way that it has partly composite materials, but partly obviously as well aluminium, and however that flex has enabled Boeing to increase or decrease the aspect ratio. So aerodynamically, it's a really fascinating aircraft. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Apparently, so this is something. So there are some vents here, and apparently there's something so top secret. I don't know if that's true or not. If it's just stupid, stories. But you know that they have been working on a system where you would have very little holes, so really small holes here on the lower side probably, where you would have a suction system installed that sucks off the boundary layer, which would enable the airflow to stay laminar for longer, hence reduce drag. So there are rumors that on the tail, so on the stabilizer and the rudder, there's already such a system installed. But I don't know whether or not that's true or not. I've not found anything, any documents on that. Well, apparently, Sabrina, the thing is this, so the way that they have designed the aircraft and the way the composite materials are being put together, it's actually stronger. So the fuselage is actually stronger while it's lighter compared to aluminium. And that's a reason why, if you look at the pressure, yeah, there we go. So we look at the cabin altitude. Look at that. It's only 5,800 feet. Normally, at this altitude, the cabin would be around about 8,000 feet, 7.5 to 8,000 feet. So because of this, the fact that the fuselage is made of composite material is stronger, so it can withhold a lot more differential pressure. And that means the cabin altitude can remain lower, which is good for passenger comfort. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. So Amenorino says the 787 wings flex so much they have to paint them regularly because the paint cracks. Okay, didn't know that. Yeah, so Alpha in general, so the cabin windows are actually 30% bigger compared to other aircraft. So these windows are a lot larger, which is nice for the passengers as well, right?
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Twitch channel subscriber experience. Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Hey Brennell, thank you very much for gifting us up to Bob. Thank you so much, Brennell. Yeah, so all in all, I'm actually quite happy now that I've gotten the chance to train on the 787 and then fly the 777 hopefully soon. It's an aircraft I've never flown before, and because it has so many more interesting features compared to other aircraft, yeah, I find it fascinating. It should be a very comfortable aircraft to fly. Nevertheless, let's talk about electrics real quickly. So we've talked a little bit about it, and let me just connect that again. Connect, AirPlay, there we go. So, electrical system. So whenever I see that kind of picture, I always think, good God, that electrics are complicated. Well, it's not really that complicated anymore. So let's look at the major components. So you have components that produce electric power, like the engine generators, and they're called starter generators because you use those. So these are physically mounted underneath the engines in the gearbox section. So these starter generators are used to start the engine, and then once the engine is running, it'll switch over and it'll produce electrical power. So on the ground, initially, what we had battery power. So the main battery is in the forward electric bay, while the APU battery is in the aft electric bay. So initially we only switched on the battery. Now the battery will then power the 28 volt DC bus, and the primary 28 volt DC load bus will then power things like, for ground operations, the common core systems, what we talked about, so the brain of the aircraft, audio, VHF system, autopilot, autothrottle, engine igniters, DC fuel pump, some flight deck instruments, bus power control units, that's very important, brake power for the wheel brakes, secondary flight control power, and the standby power. And then also 200 more loads connected to that bus system, right? Now, obviously, that is not able to power the big primary 235 volt AC load. So that's why you don't have a connection from the power converters to the main bus system. So that's not being able to do so. But the main battery can power the 28 volt DC bus. Now, when you switch on the external power, left and right, that powers the 115 volt AC primary bus, and that in turn powers 17 so-called RPDUs.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Twitch channel subscriber experience. Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where
Hey, Tom
complimentary
Tom.
drinks, snacks and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Tom, thank you much for the 33 months. Thank you for your continued support. Much appreciated. Thank you, Tom. How are you doing? So these RPDUs are also bus systems that are distributed around the aircraft, right? So those yellow dots there. 17 units in total, and they also distribute the loads, 28 volt AC and 115 volt AC. But there's only two users that have 10 amps or less. That's about 900 different loads. So again, that primary bus will then power these RPDUs as well. And the main bus here, the 150 volt AC main bus, powers things like cabin and exterior lighting, cabin system, IFE, galley power, GPWS, weather radar, transponder, TCAS, window heat, SATCOM, and 25 more loads. So as soon as we take on and switch on the external power, we have a power converter for the DC side as well, but you can see that there is a connection from the 150 volt AC bus to the main buses as well. And so the converter will then also make a 235 volt power. So the external power then can power the primary 235 volt bus. And that obviously has a lot of users, big users like wing ice protection, recirculation fans, main tank, fuel pumps, cargo heaters, the spoilers, stabilizer, alternate flaps, equipment cooling, galley refrigeration, aft galley complex, and 40 more loads. So again, a huge bus system there. But more interesting, there's another very big bus system, and that's called the large motor power system. So as soon as the main system is powered, the large motor system will also get power, or on the ground, the aft external power will supply power to this part. The APU battery, don't get fooled by the APU battery. The APU battery does supply power to the large motor system, however, only for the APU start. So here, APU start, right? So this is only for APU start, nothing else. Yeah, so that's the aft external power section. For that power, for the large motor power system, those power the hydraulic pumps, the cabin air compressors, the ram fans, the engine APU start, center tank fuel pumps, nitrogen generation system. So there's a nitrogen generation system for the fuel tanks to make the to get rid of the fuel vapors and make an explosion less likely in the fuel tanks. And there's 12 more loads connected to the large motor power system. And this is the thing. So there's we talked about the liquid cooling system. So the liquid cooling system is actually for the large motor power system. Right, so that's being liquid cooled because again, a lot of high powered systems connected to that. So we can see that these systems are either powered by external electric, or we have two APU starter generators as well. So the APU starter generators supply also a lot of power. And you can see the connections to the main bus here, right? And they will take over the power from external power. And then obviously, once the engines are running, the engine starter generators, so the generators from the engines will then take over. So left one, left two, right one, right two. And then once you have, engines running, APU switched off, external power switched off, you get the supply through the main primary bus. Also then again through the converters for the 115 and 28 volt DC and 115 AC power system. So very clever system. Two more things. So you have also something called the permanent magnet alternator. So there's two installed, one on the left engine, one on the right engine. These are supplying power to the flight control system. So they are autonomous to the rest of the system. So they supply power for the flight controls. There's obviously a secondary flight control power available as well from the battery bus or the 128 volt DC bus. But primarily the flight control power, disregard, it's the other way around. That's for the EEC. So there's three permanent magnet generators. That's for the flight control, while the permanent generate alternators, so the alternators there, they are for the electronic engine control. Also completely autonomous. So as soon as the engine is turning, they will power these engine control systems. Right, if all fails, the RAT is able to deploy either automatically. So if you lose 3 of these main buses, it'll deploy automatically. It'll also deploy automatically with hydraulic loss, display loss. There's certain triggers that will then deploy the RAT automatically. But you could also deploy it manually on the overhead panel. All right, ram air turbine switch there. So if the checklist says you need to deploy that, you can do that as well. And so the RAT will then be able to power the 28 volt DC bus again. And again, you're going to have lots of important users then being supplied with electrical power. Also, a very nice feature. Should 3 of the main buses fail, the APU will start automatically. That's very cool, isn't it? I like that. So, very nice, nice feature. No, so Alpha, the APU battery can do. The APU battery has enough power to start the APU 3 times. So for the APU start, all you need is APU battery. Exactly, Geep. Hey, how are you doing? So the brakes are electric, so either through the main system, right, or the battery as a backup power.
Where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served.
Or I should say the 28 volt DC bus, but that can be powered through the main battery. Hey, Brain Compiler, thank you much as well for 32 months. Much love. Thank you so much. And here's the thing, Geep, that's a good point. So for me, coming from aircraft that have always had, hydraulic systems that was so important for reversers, brake system, spoilers, so anything that had to do, with a hydraulic issue, you had some huge restrictions because of landing distance, right? Now here, if you have a hydraulic failure, well, you still have some spoilers that work electrically, and also you have the brakes which work electrically. So your main means of braking the aircraft, slowing down the aircraft, is still there, is still available, right? Same with the bleed system. Well, no worries, right? Oh, the wing anti-ice, it works electrically, right? It doesn't take bleed air from the engines to do so. Hey, Stepke, nice to see you.
Welcome aboard.
Oh, Stepke, looking forward to it, yeah. Absolutely.
Experience.
Oh, hey, look at
New
here, Sim
subscribers,
Caesar.
Please make your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Big round of applause and a big
Hello,
shout out
Black
to
Box
Sim
and
Caesar.
friends.
Sim Caesar, thank you very much. And who knows, Sim Caesar, the day is nearing that maybe we can meet up in real life at some point this year. So yeah, looking forward to that. And a big shout out, big thank you, Sim Caesar. I'm sorry for not being around much lately, but as you found out, yeah, very busy at the moment. All right, as we cruise into the sunset, currently there's Gibraltar to the left somewhere, but I guess that's too far away to see. Well, there's the Spanish coastline. Exactly. So eventually, that's what I said, joking at the beginning, right? So I always say the A300, A310 was the best Boeing that Airbus ever built, and this seems the best Airbus that Boeing ever built. Yeah, absolutely.
Could new subscribers please make your way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
Hello BB711 and all.
Thank you much, Ian, as well. Ian, I hope you're doing well. 61 months. God, it's a long time. Ian, thank you for the long-term support here. How are you? Thank you so much. So there's another host of features that are interesting. So giving you an example, when you lift off, the 74-9 already opens the gear doors automatically. And so if you need to retract the landing gear because engine failure or something quickly, the gear doors are already open. So that will increase or decrease the whole time to retract the landing gear, just an example. And there's so many automatic features that take over. So again, if there's electric issues and you have two generator failures or whatever, the control units, they will take over automatically to load shed systems according to their programmed profiles. So they will get rid of certain users like coffee machines, entertainment system, whatever, in order to make sure that there's enough power available for the important systems. So in the background, there's a lot of stuff happening automatically. Really, really nice. We've already been through, under third simulated mission, we've already been through the smoke, fire, fume checklist. So we played around a bit with the electronic checklist, so the abnormal checklists, which the Quality Wings doesn't have, unfortunately. And the interesting thing is, so on the A320, when you go through the complete procedure regarding smoke, fire or smell on board the aircraft, it's a huge checklist, and you also switch off at some point. If you can't land immediately, you switch off main electric power. You go into the EMA-ELEC stage, which takes away a lot of things, a lot of displays, a lot of flight controls, etc., etc. So there's a lot of things that make then flying or increase your workload flying the aircraft quite tremendously. Here in the 787, it's a similar kind of setup, but the thing is this. So let's say you have smoke somewhere in the cabin and you don't know where it's coming from. Well, you switch off the IFE and the cabin utilities. You will then switch off one pack after the other. Recirculation fans will be switched off as well, obviously. And then, if that doesn't work, you will put the aircraft into a state with the pressurization where you can then determine, depending on where the smoke is coming from, aft section or front section of the aircraft, you can then play around with the outflow valves. So you have an outflow valve in the forward section and also in the aft section of the aircraft. So you can play around with that and have the smoke being pulled out of the aircraft, either through the front section or the aft section. And that's done through the smoke fire fumes. What's the title again? And let me just show you that in a minute. Hold on. Fire. Yeah, so it's smoke or fumes removal, it's called here on the 787. So you have a checklist then which helps you to get rid of the smoke on board. And you can do that at all flight levels. So that's really neat. But the smoke, fire, fumes checklist itself isn't that long and not that complicated to do. And then, of course, you would do your best to get to the next airport and land there. Yeah, Stepke, Bruno told me, quite interesting, apparently they're getting rid of the oceanic clearance procedures next year. Sim Caesar, how are you doing? Hope everything's fine with you. How's the weather in Denver at the moment? Oh, and there's a storm I just saw today. There's a storm now coming to Manchester. Marcus is probably happy that he's on holiday in Lisbon. So just checking the weather in Manchester right now. Gust 22, and it's supposed to get gust 30 something, 38 actually. Wow. yeah, I do miss streaming as well. Oh, yes, I can imagine. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to coming over to the US soon. Especially Denver. I used to love going to Denver. And I've not been there for ages. Right, lovely sunset coming in here. So let's see, what else do we have as an interesting feature? Yeah, it's true, Avenger. Yeah. Because we are obviously flying towards the southwest. Right, so flight control system. I guess that's something a lot of people are interested in, because people hear all the time, 787, just like 777, is partly fly-by-wire, etc., etc. So in essence, let's see if I can print, not print, but let's draw something again, shall we? So where's my airplane? There we go. So, so on one side you have your, flight controls. So you have captains, first officer, flight controls, and then you have 4 control computers. So they're called actuator control electronics, ACEs. So let me draw these here. So you have so you have 4 of the 4 of those, and then you have primary flight computers as well. So let me put that to blue color. So you have 3 primary flight computers, and so inputs done by the pilots will go into the or through the ACE to the primary flight computers. So just like on the Airbus, really. Let me just do that. Let's go dome light on, autopilot off. So when you move the yoke in order to change the bank, it's the same principle in the normal mode. So you have 3 modes. You have normal, secondary, and direct mode here. So when you move the yoke, you are telling the aircraft to roll at a certain rate. So obviously the more input you give, the faster the roll rate. So pretty similar to Airbus, right? And that's being done by the primary flight computers that will then look at your aircraft state. So it'll have a look at which flight phase you're in, how high you are, how fast you are. And weirdly enough, here at this altitude, so when you're certain altitude at certain airspeed, the ailerons are actually locked out. So the roll is only being done through the flaperons and the spoilers. So what's a flaperon, what's a spoiler? If you look here at the wings, so this part here, that's the flaperon. And so that will then, let me just do that. So I'm gonna, you see? So there should be no aileron movement. So if I bank the aircraft now, there should be no aileron movement. It should be all flaperons and spoilers. So if I have, very fast movements, it should take the spoilers then as well. But that's been calculated through the flight control computers, right? So the pilots don't have to worry about that. You're just dictating a roll rate, or the autopilot system is dictating a roll rate, obviously. Huh? There we go. So the primary flight control computers will then calculate the required surfaces to be moved. So the signals go back to the ACEs, so the actuator control electronics, and those will then give the signals to the flight controls. So rudder, ailerons, spoilers, flaperons, and the elevators. Captain Ranger, here on the 787, the ailerons are not used at all at higher speeds. So that it's actually, they are literally locked out, as they say. It's locked out completely. So normal mode will always be active unless, obviously, you switch the aircraft manually into the direct mode, right? So it tells you now the primary flight computers are off. And the problem is, in secondary and in direct mode, you lose the protections and you lose the autopilot system. Auto thrust still works, but autopilot system is inop. And so that's literally your, red button to kick out the, to get straight into direct mode, or direct law as on the Airbus, so direct mode. In normal mode, so in the normal working mode, there are protections available. And there's 3 protections, mainly. There's a stall protection, overspeed, and bank angle protection. So, simply speaking, if you go into a bank angle that's very steep, past 35 degrees, if I go now very steep, if I let go of the flight controls, the aircraft will roll back automatically to, I think 30 degrees bank. Yeah, it rolls back to 30 degrees automatically. You can bank the aircraft steeper, but you would have to continuously then input roll command, and also it'll get very heavy. So you have to, use a lot of force to keep the aircraft at a bank angle greater than 35 degrees. The overspeed protection, what it does is that, when he's changed the speed, you would have to trim manually if you manual flight. So as you increase speed, you would have to continuously do nose down input. And as soon as you go into overspeed, that trim input is stopped. So you can't trim the aircraft to a setting that is in the overspeed regime. So the trim will be switched off. And that way, if you want to... There's a traffic coming. If you want to... just looking for the traffic. Is that him there? Yeah, it looks like it. Oh yeah, crossing traffic. Nice. Yeah, 1,000 feet below. How cool.
Clear of contact.
Lol. How cool. Love that. Hey there.
Hey there. Bye-bye.
Look brilliant. That's really cool. I love that.
What's your altitude?
39,000.
All right. 1,000 difference.
Exactly.
Have a nice flight, man.
Yeah, have a good landing. You too. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Overspeed protection, yeah. It just simply means that if you want to stay in the overspeed regime, you would have to continuously put forward pressure on the yoke. Which obviously isn't something you would do on purpose, right? So the third protection would be stall protection. So same thing with the trim. So once you get and reach the amber band, you cannot trim those up anymore. So then you would have to pull back on the yoke manually to stay in the low airspace regime. But also the auto thrust would kick into speed mode and then either keep the speed at the amber top part or the selected speed, whichever is higher. But the speed mode would kick in automatically unless, and here's the thing, unless you are in flight level change or in toga mode, it's not working after takeoff below 400 feet or on the approach below 100 feet radial altimeter. Also, that stall protection system does not work in VNAV speed descent or if the auto throttle is in hold mode. So there are some restrictions to that. But in essence, the normal mode has stall, overspeed, and bank angle protection. There's also some things called a lateral and vertical wind gust suppression. So it'll automatically do things in order to counteract vertical and lateral turbulences. Another cool thing that I couldn't believe when I read it, but
where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight.
Hey, Lord Fleshheart, how are you doing? Man, 40
months. Eek. Hi, BB.
Hello to you, and that's incredible. Thank you for the 40 months of support. Big round of applause. Lord Fleshheart, how are you doing? That's really, really. It's Pale Ale. Oh, I keep forgetting. Pale Ale. I was just wondering. Yeah, Pale Ale. Thank you so. No worries. Pale Ale. Thank you so much for the long-term support. How are you doing? Well, Pale Ale. So one thing I found really fascinating is that that in flight, the flaperons, the flaps, and I think the speed brake as well, they will move in flight to optimize performance. So without any indications, they will move in flight and change the curvature of the wing. And that's done all automatically. You will not notice anything. And that's being done to optimize performance. And that's another thing I've never seen any other aircraft ever before. Really fascinating. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to tell you guys. So the primary flight computers, they also receive data from other systems. So the primary flight control computers will get information, for example, from the IRS. It'll get information from flaps information, so regarding flaps, airspeed information, so lots of different information coming into the PFCs as well, in order for the primary flight control computers then to calculate the best mix of all these flight controls. So obviously, if you are then suddenly missing things like radial altimeter information or IRS information, air data information, the aircraft will then go into the secondary mode. And we just said that the secondary mode still uses the primary flight control computers, however, in a degraded mode. And but that's enough for the envelope protection to be cancelled, gust suppression is cancelled, pitch compensation is cancelled, roll yaw asymmetry compensation is cancelled, tail strut protection will be lost, and also the autopilot will be lost in that case. Should all of the three primary flight computers fail, or if there's any bigger faults in that system, then the primary flight computers or the system will go into the direct mode automatically as well. And again, direct mode means same things will be lost, and then there's a direct input from controls to the surfaces. But apparently, now I've not tried it yet in the simulator, but apparently that means the aircraft will behave a bit differently, but still should be, you know, well manageable and flyable. Yeah, Christian, I'm fascinated. Again, because there are so many new features and things in this aircraft that I've not come across before, and so to work on, it's very comfortable. Is there only like bright? And yeah, apparently. Okay, so how come the floodlight isn't working? Oh, there we go. That's working now. Cool. Hey, Aerocities. Yeah, one thing I can't really comment on is